Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mcubed Show about all things fantasy sci-fi. As always, I'm your host, Schmerold. This week we didn't have that much come out, but there is one movie that came out last Monday that I look really forward to talking to y'all about. It's The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf, which I'll be talking about at the end. So if you haven't seen it, when I get to that part, I say pause and watch it and then come back, because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that movie, but we'll get to that. And then let's just go right into some stuff that came out recently that I thought I'd like to talk about. So for starters, Dave Filoni expressed his opinion today, or yesterday, talking about how he believes Ahsoka is actually more powerful of a Jedi than Luke Skywalker. And I think here's my thing. I'm not going to judge Dave Filoni. Like, he knows Star Wars quite well, obviously, as we've been seeing. However, I think there's a little bit of bias there. Because of course, like, Ahsoka's his creation, it's his baby, just like how Star Wars was George's baby, and he will defend his original movies, but he'll also think he's also his biggest critic, because he will go back and fix up his movies, as we see in the special editions, right? Anyway, so I would like to disagree with Dave Filoni. Even though Ahsoka is obviously super powerful, she was obviously trained by some of the best Jedi to ever exist. Like, we got Yoda, Mace, Plo Koon, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and of course Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, right? And of course she got a lot of actual formal lightsaber training within the Jedi Temple. And so Luke Skywalker, of course, he didn't get that much formal training, but he did get to go toe-to-toe with his father, Darth Vader, one of the most powerful Sith of all time. Luke gives into his hate, though, you know, like that we don't want him to, when he actually is able to actually beat Vader in combat. Of course, Yoda tells him that you can't. A Jedi's mind must be clear and at peace, and use defense as opposed to opposition, right? Like offense. And we see that in that final scene where he gives into that anger, like in Return of the Jedi, right? He gives into that anger and actually decides, no, I'm not going to kill my father. He's just like me, you know? Because he looks at it after he cut off his father's arm. It's a robotic arm just like his, right? Or hand. So he throws down his lightsaber out of love for his father and says, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. And to me, that is the most powerful Jedi statement I've ever heard, is that he gave into that hate that could have just completely controlled him and taken over like his father before him. But he says, no, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, because his father is a true Jedi. And he knows he can bring him back. So he throws down his lightsaber out of love and saves his father, ultimately. Because as Sidious strikes him down with lightning, like Force lightning, right? Vader saves Luke's life. And it's epic. It's an epic moment. And to me, I don't think Ahsoka's ever done anything like that. Like, Luke has saved the galaxy from the Empire. Ahsoka's obviously powerful, and she's going to take on Thrawn in her live-action show, but it's Thrawn. And Thrawn's obviously powerful, but he's not the ultimate Sith Lord, you know? I mean, like, Ahsoka took on Vader, but she lost. She lost. You can't tell me she took on Vader and won. Like, she would have died if Ezra doesn't pull her out at that last second. But yeah, but that's basically it about Ahsoka. Like, Dave Filoni, I respect your opinion, of course. Like, you are making incredible Star Wars content. I don't know, I just don't agree. I just simply don't agree. But anyway, other than that, we got the Mandalorian Season 2 behind the scenes reel for Star Wars Gallery. It's like Marvel Studios Assembled, which is just behind the scenes stuff of like what they're making. In this behind the scenes stuff, we see a lot of cool footage from behind the scenes, and we go deep into like the making of having Luke Skywalker show up. And it's cool to see like this guy dressing up as Luke and having like the dots on his face, so you can then put obviously CGI Mark Hamill on him. But it's just cool. And I liked how none of the cast and crew knew it was Luke, really. Besides like Favreau and possibly, you know, probably Filoni and a few others, right? But everyone thought it would be Plo Koon, which I think is interesting. There's even concept art and even some, like, I think they even filmed some footage of Plo Koon being the guy, right? I'm pretty sure that's who they filmed in front of the actual cast, and then they just insert Luke into the scene, and they filmed that separately, just to keep that an ultra big secret. And then Favreau's just saying, like, yeah, we wanted this to feel special. This had to be an event, you know? I love that. But that's really it for that. I'd recommend watching that if you haven't. It's really cool. But yeah, let's just get right into the Witcher review for the new animated film that came out on Netflix last week. I like it quite a bit. So let's get into that. So The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. It starts off with a bang. Like, it's immediately like with gore and violence in animated form, and then we see this Witcher pop up to take out on this monster, and it's Vesemir. right? And if you know the Witcher lore, Vesemir is the master to Geralt. And he's like, this is a different version of Vesemir that I think we've ever seen. Like, we've always seen him as this older master in like The Witcher, like 3, for example, or other Witcher games, and obviously the books, right? But in this one, we see him as a much younger Witcher. I mean, obviously younger, meaning, he's like 70 years old, but still, he still looks like he's like 30, and he's like in his prime. And he's this big, cocky, like, Witcher, you know, and I like that aspect. Because Geralt, he's just a badass, you know, and Vesemir's a badass, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely cocky with his abilities, and I like that. I like seeing that side of a Witcher, where Geralt's he's just gonna do his business, and he's more laid back, I guess I should say. Compared to Vesemir. But we see Vesemir as a child and how he goes in, like he follows this Witcher to save I believe his mother. I want to say it was his mother, who was like being possessed by some demon thing. And then he's like, take me with you, I want to be a Witcher. So he follows him, but he has this love interest, Ileana, that he loves ever since they were little kids. And then he has to leave her behind. So he goes on to his training, and he goes under the whole mutation process that we actually see, and it's really crazy how they go into that stuff. But yeah, I recommend checking this out because, again, I'm going to go like really into spoilers here for the whole ending, right? So if you haven't, again, I said before, pause it before the video, before I started talking about it, right? But anyway, so now we fast forward a bit where he's older, and there's a lot more monsters being created, like mixture monsters, and it's weird. They've never seen anything like this. And of course, there's always the stigma on Witchers, like the normal folk calling them freaks and whatnot, but they're there to help, even though the people seem to think they take advantage of them. And they are in this case, because the Witchers are working with mages to create these monsters, just so they can keep getting paid. And Vesemir wants no part of that. But he eventually runs into Ileana, once again, who's now like 70 years old, like an old woman, who had a full life, had a husband, and had children. But Vesemir still loves her and even kisses her at one point. It's awesome. Like, it's like that love is like, it's still true to him. Like he never forgot her. But anyway, then we get to the absolute end of the episode. Like, we lose out on some of the other Witchers, like Vesemir's master, and then his two like friends who he grew up with that are like his age, and then Ileana passes as well. But Ileana is able to get the younger Witchers, or like the Witchers in training, out of their base, where there's a whole monster attack by some witch. But they're able to get out of there, and then we find out at the absolute end that one of these Witchers is actually Geralt, and it's awesome just to connect that, like, because that Geralt's with Vesemir ever since the beginning of his training. Specifically when he becomes the main master of the Witchers Guild, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I really liked Vesemir quite a bit. Again, I loved his attitude compared to Geralt. Like, he's way different than Geralt. Both are absolute badasses in their own right, but just with different attitudes. But yeah, I recommend this. I really like the animation quite a bit in it. Like, each backdrop has an amazing art style, but the characters, I don't love the animation, but it works with the action, and so that's all I need. Kind of like Castlevania. Like, I don't think it's the absolute best animation I've seen, but it's solid animation with awesome backdrops that look like artwork. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I highly recommend watching The Witcher, and I hope you did before you watched my little review of it. All right. So yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought about The Witcher. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm watching The Witcher Season 1 right now to get ready for Witcher Season 2. You know, that's a good bit away. I can't get enough of Witcher right now after watching that movie, because now I'm rewatching Witcher Season 1 and playing Witcher 3 on my PlayStation 4, which I recommend everyone plays if they haven't played that before. It's an epic game. It's like $10 in the PlayStation Store right now for the Game of the Year edition. It's probably cheaper on Xbox, or it's probably cheap as well on Xbox, I should say. But yeah, I look forward to talking to y'all next week. Remember, like and subscribe, and leave some comments down below. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.